This podcast is sponsored by Magic Rock Brewing. Currently, you can get free delivery on all orders over £40 and 10% of all online orders by using our code of TakesThatChance10.
Jepson's there, Billy in, the goal, Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the flame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Welcome to episode 83 of the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. The cold days and nights are drawing in and we're all wrapped up tight with our socks tucked into our shorts as we look back at the draw with Luton, bring up a player in focus and look at the international break. Wearing the snood beard, I'm Matt, and in the cashmere-lined fleece, we have Neil Wayne. In the woolly hat and scarf combo, it's Richard Kosmala. And having to start wearing clothes again this week, it's Brady Frost. And you may notice that we've been joined this week by Tom Bradshaw. He's going to be providing the eye candy this week, but in cartoon form, as Tom will be doodling away in the corner. So if you get bored of us waffling, you can then watch the master at work as he draws the points, the general points of the conversation. So hello, everybody. How are we doing?
Good. Looking forward to some international football. There was a game on earlier, wasn't it? Let me just find a game.
You need to get this off your chest first, don't you? I know you were raring to
I've
get
so
this
much
going
rage for it and that as well. But Sky had it live on one of the channels and that as well. Anyway, I'll come back in when I found what it was. It was that bad.
All right. Right, so we'll dive in with Luton. So I think we've got a bit of a shorter agenda this week. So we'll try and keep this under 1 hour 50, which is a task in itself for us lot. So we'll start with Luton Town. So Huddersfield.
It was Lithuania v Faroe Islands. It was Lithuania v Faroe Islands. It was live on Sky. What are we doing? Anyway,
it's going well already, this, isn't it? It's going well already. Shut up,
I'm used to this now. But
sorry.
Right, it's all right.
Lithuania won 2-1 in case anyone wants to know.
Nice. So Town were given the runaround, Huddersfield Town that was, in the first 20 minutes, really, by the brilliantly named Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, who has to be on our shopping list, surely, doesn't he, for January or the summer, just for the name alone. I think he'd fit in great around these parts. So slow start for Town, Huddersfield. Punished, really, through slackness at a set piece, which to me wasn't a foul, but I thought the referee was decent, other than that, to be fair to him. So what did you guys take from the start of the game? It seemed a little bit sluggish, a little bit tired maybe, Neil, do you reckon?
Well, we looked completely gassed out, didn't we? We just looked very leggy, very lethargic, not with it. There were no tempo at all. Luton looked, I wouldn't say they looked particularly rapid all over the pitch, but they just looked a lot more lively than we did. And he could just see a goal coming, to be honest. I thought it was just all the way through. We had little peaks in it, but all the way through, I thought it was quite a dull watch, lightened up by another great goal from us.
It seems funny to say dull watch, Kosi, doesn't it? Because compared to some of the stuff last season, it was brilliant, really. But I know what Neil means. I think compared to some of the stuff we've seen this season, it wasn't on the same level, was it? But it was still watchable.
Yeah. No, it's like what I said last week, Matt, and I said to Neil before we come on. Has anyone seen the fixture list between now and before we
December's mental, isn't it?
It's ridiculous, and we've had it before, and kind of come on to my rant international stuff later on. But I just think you've got to give a lot of credit to Luton. I did warn you that they were good, and their away record is sensational since Jones has took over. I couldn't believe it.
Yorkshire, yeah. Have you seen it in Yorkshire? They're unbeaten in Yorkshire in about 9 games.
I'm not having Middlesbrough though.
No, I know what you mean. But
I going back to old boundaries, Neil.
Yeah, bollocks to that.
The one thing
we'll have tall trees and they can have whatever they want for Teesside. Yeah.
I'm going to put my positive head on here because with two teams massively improved from last season. If you think of July when we played two teams, last orders at the bar, two drunks at Wetherspoons, getting thrown out, shambles. They were worse. They were better than us. But I just thought they're really physical. They're kind of old school football, I thought, Luton. They're really we don't do right well against them as a rule of thumb, do we, when we play them? But I think again, I don't know if it's just coincidence, but second half we seem to be a second half team, don't we?
One or the other, isn't it? It seems to be we'll start well and then second half will fade, or first half will be a bit poor, and then Carlos gets to work at half time and he sets things straight, doesn't he? So
what I'll say though, Matt, is like you disagree with me, but Sarr, he didn't need to do that. He's got Stearman, the Rock, Richard Stearman behind him. The guy's going nowhere, and that's just poor. That for me,
he didn't. For me, he didn't touch him, and he threw himself. But there's on the access all areas video. There's a good angle of it, and it's. I know what you mean. Sarr doesn't need to make that motion, but the guy did dive. But Sarr made it easy for him as well, at the same time by going in the way he did. So yeah.
The one thing that I didn't feel on Saturday, which Preston you felt from their angle a few days before, once they got an equaliser, they looked like they had the momentum to go on and win it. I didn't feel that on Saturday. I thought, we had half an hour to get to win it, but it was just one of those games, like Neil said. I didn't feel that we were going to kick on and win it. And again, it'll probably come back a lot more to our bench and how we can change it and stuff. And guys out of gas. I was quite happy with the point at the end. And then we were saying, I kind of said to you, Neil, at half time that because we were losing 4 defeats out of 5, or was it 3 out of the last 4? And all of a sudden it's like a bit of a wobble. But, when I took stock and kind of the end of the game, you look, we're 7 off the bottom 3, we're 5 off the top 6, which, maybe is a bit ambitious. Yeah. So I was kind of happy with the point because what I would say Luton a good side, mate, much improved.
On positive side of it, I mean, it wasn't a great game to watch. Obviously, it was leagues above anything we saw in the last season, but it wasn't a great game to watch. But that goal was sensational, wasn't it? When you watch that back, we've took them apart again. It was very much like 4 or 5 goals we've seen under Carlos now, where all starts with Ben Hamer, little pass, and before you know it, 10, 12, 13, 14 passes later, it's in net at the other end. And
I think the best bit for that, Neil, is a guy that I didn't think had a great game on the day, Lewis O'Brien. He was key in that. It's the ball into him, sort of in the number 6 position, and that spin, and his sort of speed in transitioning over the first 5 yards to get the ball rolling's a bit cliche, isn't it? But it was his sort of speed of movement there, which opened everything up. And one thing we've noticed as well is that I think other podcasts, Stephen Chicken's written about it as well, is that we seem to be very left side, very lefty oriented at the minute.
Yeah, we are.
And Pieper seems to be coming into sort of an advanced number 8 position quite a lot. And Stephen was saying that against Bristol City, that's what they were trying to get him to do, because they felt that he was less effective coming in, but not against Luton. He came in and he made into almost number 10 position, and he played his part in feeding Harry Toffolo, we'll talk about in a short while. And it was finished, Brady, by the Zalm, as we'll call him, or Ruud van Eatingroy, whatever you want to call him. Eatingroy, it's that's salmon, Spanish, Dutch for salmon.
Right.
Google Translate, a quick one. It probably means something completely different, but there we go.
It was a great finish. I think what was really interesting was, like, it just seemed to be the actual goal when he heads it seemed to be in the air for so long, but you just knew it was going in. I don't know about you guys.
Boo they?
Yeah. No. I remember you tweeting about it.
Hang time, wasn't it? It's all exactly about the hang time.
Yeah, you just knew it was in. I think touching on what these guys said, like, obviously, what I didn't realise going into the game was this is the 3rd time we've played Luton. Last 3 games, we've had a different coach. We had Hudson when we lost 2-1, had Cowley, and obviously, but I think we lose that game last season, and I think that kind of shows you. Obviously, it's not like we're going to go for promotion or anything, but I think that shows you how far we've come in a short space of time.
Very much.
I do think the thing that helped us though was I think Luton was still trying to counter and try and nick it. Whereas obviously when we saw with like Birmingham and Preston, once they'd got it, they were happy to sit and not really push. Whereas I think Luton was still trying to catch us out. But I think like I think this Luton game for me kind of sums up our season a bit. We play we start, we're not too great. Luton kind of come into it. It's sloppy defending for the goal. I know we'll probably come on to it. People were blaming Diacabi for not picking his man up. And yeah, he's at fault for that. But I think it's just bad defending all round, really. And that's it. It's those lapses in concentration, because especially in the Championship, every team concedes sloppy goals. We know that, but I think Town's issue is the chances that we create. We don't really create that much. I mean, obviously apart from the Eiting goal, which was great, but again after that,
some stats on that Brady as well, which will come in with
sure,
a minute.
I'm sure you will now. But I think that's the thing. No. I know you will. I'm not angry. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's when you kind of realise what our creative issue, like when our creative issue is really apparent, when a team does take the lead because we concede a sloppy goal, and then it just kind of highlights that we don't actually create enough in terms of chances. I think the point was fair game, really.
Yeah, so one thing I've noticed in the last sort of 3-4 weeks is that Town don't do well against the low block. Luton, for me, positioned themselves in a low block. You looked at initially they started playing 4-5-1, 4-1-4-1, and it was very tight. The space between defence and midfield was really tight, and we could not get in anywhere. Because they sat deep, we couldn't get behind, and because the midfield also sat deep, we also couldn't, get into the pockets of space between, the sort of half spaces, if you like, between central and out wide. So that to me was smart from Luton. I thought they were poor in terms of technical ability, but they were excellent in terms of organisation and like Kosi says, being strong, and
solid
leading.
Team.
Yeah,
solid team,
a solid team who probably don't have any stars. I think is probably a good way.
Yeah, well coached, aren't they?
Yeah,
they are. I think it'll serve them well this season. I don't think they'll go down.
Yeah, they'll be middling. I think with us.
Fine.
I think and fair play to them. They're decent. But yeah, so the thing that we've picked up on is Town 67% possession, which is all well and good, but the point behind possession is you've eventually got to do something with it. And we've had 13 shots during the game, which 8 have been blocked, but only 2 on target. And this is now becoming a reoccurring theme where our expected goals, I know a lot of people don't always believe in it, but our XG rating is below 1 again. So constantly it's now dropping below 1. So by the way that we're playing, we're not expecting to score more than a goal a game at the minute. And especially against teams in the low block, this seems to be I'm gonna trip over myself and say a low block is a stumbling block, if you like, and it just seems to me that if teams sit off us and let us play in front of them, then we're still struggling. And but in credit to Town, we kept going and we changed things a little bit, and we got that point. And I thought at that point we would go on and try and win the game. I think we did. I thought the effort was there, but I thought the organisation from Luton and the fact that they did pick us off or try and pick us off meant that we weren't quite as committed. And that's all I really have to say about the game. I think that's all there is to it, really. It was kind of an okay game, both. And I thought if one side deserved to win, it would probably us, but a draw was a fair result in the end. And I think you'd agree with that, Kosi, wouldn't you? Think that a draw was probably fair.
Yeah, I don't think we did enough to win, but a couple of things I was frustrated. I don't know why Benza didn't come on. Thought he should have come on and we could have done something different.
On his tandem.
100%.
With Neil on the back seat, yeah.
Get Isaac on there.
Yeah, I don't know what Schindler would have changed when coming on.
I call him Isaac now. It's not on Benz. I just call him Isaac.
First name terms, you on the tandem.
He's loving the Instagram stuff we're sending him, by the way, Neil. You'll
going back to the goal, though, don't you just love an header, though, where it kind of goes the other way, kind of heads it the other way and time stands still. Normally headers are kind of flying down the bottom by the post.
That looping.
Keepers flying. Yeah, the fact it didn't, and everyone just watches it and it just nestled in. Immediately you watch it and think, bloody hell, that's another good goal there, isn't it? And that as well, but... Yeah, but I mean, again, we mentioned it against Birmingham. We mentioned it the other week. We'll mention it again. We're playing with 10 men every other week with Diakabi's playing. Rubbish, man. Absolute rubbish. And
he is diabolical.
I thought we were going to get away without mentioning Diakabi then, but he's come up. The elephant in the room.
Why does Carlos keep playing him? I don't get it.
I think it's because there's so many games. I think you've got to play. You've got to rest him, Benza. You can't flog him, can you, so to speak? And Benza's not used to that amount of games, and then you kind of think maybe Aaron Rowe possibly, but Carlos knows how close Aaron Rowe is, and he's been playing right back, hasn't he?
I'd just pick anybody.
Bakuna, I like Bakuna wide right. I think Bakuna sort of you can put up with his you can put up with his messing about a little bit more out wide. The indiscipline you can kind of understand, but at least Bakuna will stick 1 or 2 decent balls across a game, even if he is playing like an absolute whopper, like he can do. But
I think it showed the restrictions on the squad with not having either Bakuna or Pritchard even on bench for the last couple. And
December's really going to show us up as well.
It's going to really stretch us in December.
I think it's the 9 games, Kosi, in December. Do we have to do 9?
Yeah.
I think the one thing that we really are looking sparse of, obviously we know all about the goal scoring situation. We all said that we needed extra firepower there. It's apparent. It's screaming out.
Kieran Phillips scored again the other day.
Absolutely, but get him on bench. Get him up wide on bench. The last 10 minutes on Saturday, chuck him on. He's in rich vein of form. Confidence will be high. Get him on bench. Give him 10 minutes.
Yeah, but Carlos did give a reason. I'll mention it now, Neil, and then let you carry on. But Carlos did say that there are certain aspects of his game whereby he needs to learn more, and he's only just come back from a long injury, and they're needing to build him up to that level. But
so we've not got 5 strikers then.
3.5 if you like. 3.5.
But also, we're really, really short on when your two best attacking and creative outlets are your two fullbacks. It just shows you how much we really are lacking a sort of figurehead to lead the charge, and in the creative stakes we are.
Central midfield, especially.
Yeah, we're really, really
that's
short.
That's what I mean. You can buy any striker you want in, doesn't matter. We're not creative now.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. We're really, really limited.
Philip doesn't matter.
So, that's got to be looked at. That's really got to be looked at for January. And, well, hopefully it's been looked at now. Ready
are we creating out, Kosi?
No, I mean...
you just said that about 4 times in a row.
There were the 2 things, and they weren't even nothings, really, but the first half, Dear Carby, he absolutely... I mean, the speed of that ball, I could have... You know what I'm trying to say, but the keeper pushed it round, but he should have done so much better with that. And then it was a difficult chance, and he were knackered anyway, but last 7 minutes, Campbell, that kind of... when it came across him in the box, but really...
The thing is, it's not even funny anymore. It's just annoying. I
just feel sorry for him.
No, I don't. I genuinely don't. And do you know what? He looks, when he gets subbed near end, he looks genuinely pissed off, like we made a mistake subbing him. He shouldn't have been starting, mate. That what mistake was made. He is absolutely dire. He offers us nothing. Literally, I've no what else to say about him. He offers us nothing. That's it.
Do you think it's? I mean, one to speculate, but do you think it's to kind of prove a point because we didn't get Aaron Rowe, we didn't get a winger, so he's playing him. He's giving him a chance because maybe he will, turn around, but it doesn't seem to be coming anywhere. So do you guys think it's maybe proving a point? Look, this squad isn't good enough. We need a winger.
I think it just shows you. I said this at the start of the season. This was my fear, was the lack of depth, and I said that there'd be one player that sprung out amongst all this and did the click at Leeds, and that looks like it's going to be my mate Isaac at the moment.
Karoma.
Who's shown something every time. Yeah, but Karoma won't really.
Don't make me get this out.
Karoma wasn't an outcast though, Matt. In the same.
No, but he'd done nothing had he previous year. I think there's quite a few of up the levels, but I know what you mean. And Benza was on the very home, wasn't he?
Young player, whereas Benza was sort of on the.
Castigated.
He was outside in rain with Congolo and Diakabi and Reece Brown and whoever else, and
Karoma cost us on Saturday with his greediness. For me, I don't want to knock the guy, but square, and maybe we're winning that game. But the trouble is we're feeding on scraps, and the thing is with Benza, you always want to give people a chance. I cannot remember one game when I'm thinking he's kind of going to flicker in life. It reminds me of some of them crap fireworks you used to get on bonfire night. Has it gone out? Has it even started? Do you go over and see it, pick it up? It's like nothing's kind of firing at it. It's honestly, it just worries me a little bit now because why? Carlos has done a great job, and he's obviously rates a lot of players, but you're flogging a dead horse there, mate.
He's more of a sparkler than a Catherine.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
I hate to pick on individuals. It's not my style, but.
And Benza's done all right this year, though, hasn't he? That's who you're talking about there, isn't it? Yeah.
No, Diakabi, mate.
Diakabi. I thought you said Benza. No. I mean, Diakabi's. Yeah, it's like when it rains. It's like when it rains from bonfire night.
Like you said, Matt, though, with them 9 games, Brady, we're going to be using him, mate. Again, it's a fact until January comes. That's true.
The problem is we all say it. We have the group chat and stuff like that. And it's all over Twitter with everybody else. It's like kicking off a game with 10 men. Is that bad? He is that. He offers us nothing.
I think the problem is, Neil, it's not even just offering us up going forward. It's costing us games. It cost us Birmingham a goal. Yeah. It cost us Saturday a goal. It's just a nightmare.
It's weird, isn't it?
It cost 9 million, did it?
Shall I read some comments out from YouTube then? Shall we?
Yeah.
Shall we get moving on with this? So there's some good ones coming in. So thank you to the 40 or so people who are watching online. I've embellished slightly there. It's 38, but there's 38 watching online. Damien Wales says he thought it was a poor game to watch. Luton on a great run in Yorkshire at the minute. Thought their goal was poor to concede. Build-up play was decent. Think we'll finish top half. Jacob Hurst makes a good point about Mbenza. He said he had a fitness test before the game. Presuming him not coming on was a result of that. Teria Mulak says there is a player somewhere in Diakabi, but he's not shown any of it since here. Pretty sure he's left all his ability in France. I keep telling you, Neil, he was signed to replace Kylian Mbappe at Monaco. Stew on that again. Stew on it. I keep telling you.
Matt, I remember when you said that. I remember when you said that on that
I've been clinging to that
podcast
for 2.5 years. Yeah.
What?
I knew they would love that when I said that. Jacob Hurst says he looks like he's won a raffle.
He couldn't replace Des Hamilton's good. Let's be fair.
Oh, Desi. Campion's
think
finest, yeah.
Just to kind of wrap up on Diakabi, because like we said, everyone knows, but it's like with Mbenza, he went back to France on loan last season, and I do wonder if it's Diakabi, if almost he should have done that really, because obviously he went to Forest and Forest fans told abused him, and we got all those videos of him just knocking balls out, and I wonder if he kind of needs to go somewhere. I mean, he's out of contract to the end of the season.
Could you imagine doing a highlights reel for him now to try and sell him?
The thing is, Neil, you say that, but obviously, I remember when we signed him, and you saw the highlights reel on YouTube, and you're like, bloody hell! I mean, like you can make any player look good on there.
He's I did some stats on Diakabi after the game. I didn't really want to use this, but he's
rubbish.
He's not scored for 67 games. Diakabi, 67 appearances.
Let's
not
be
scored
honest.
in, and it's almost 3 years since he
It's
scored.
not a surprise, is it?
Good to see Danny Ward finally got on touch, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, well,
look what you've done to Tom, guys.
Did Ward even touch ball though? I don't think he did he? I can't remember him touching it.
Oh, he looked like he has to be training this week in the international break.
He needs to shave that tash, man. What is he doing with that? But
he looked more useful than Diakabi without touching ball.
Let's leave Diakabi alone.
Poor Diakabi.
It stopped the rot, though. It stopped the rot. We couldn't afford to lose 3 in a row going into international break. It just gives us something a little bit to kind of chew on. And it's sad to say it, really, because we've lambasted Bakuna and Pritchard a lot of times on here. But
what Brady said before about feeling sorry for Diakabi is actually right. We should, because
he don't want to play crap, does he?
No. He don't turn up to be rubbish.
He's gutted when he comes off.
I just think it's one of those where, for his own sake now, he needs taken out at firing line, because, I mean, let's be fair, if there's a crowd in there now, lad's crucified, isn't he?
Yeah.
The lad
I
is
think
crucified.
people just laugh at him, to be honest.
Yeah, but
it'll be that sort of mock laughter.
There'd be a mix.
I mean, how old is he?
24.
And he's come over
20s,
over from France.
Yeah.
He's come to Huddersfield. Imagine coming over from France to Huddersfield, really. You'd be a bit...
how many McDonald's do you reckon they've got near the training ground at Monaco?
That's the thing. Today,
KFC and McDonald's next to your training ground.
Today, when I went into garage, and I'm a big Pippa fan, but I think he must have been half cut, because the headline on the front exam today is Pippa, I prefer Huddersfield more than Barcelona. Honestly, I can hear rain rattling on my windows.
That Marston's chicken, mate. Can't knock it.
Marston's, they'll do.
They're all queuing.
Share price has gone downhill since Steve Mooney.
To the low, though, innit? But yeah, to be fair though, I just normally Luton at home, you think we should win, but I just were cautious of them, and they were a lot, better than I thought. So I thought it was a good point in, but
I backed us for a win. Get that?
Yeah,
you did.
I think this is a good lead on to Brady. How did the predictions go?
I got full out against Bristol City. We'll just get that one in because you missed it. Thank you.
I want to hear last week. That's fine.
Right, but that's not the point.
Well, anyway. Matt,
worse than Tony Walsh did one with a Cram Green bowling thing from Canalside from 2010, whenever it was. You still hear that every 5 minutes from those two.
Anyway, Matt, did you bring the predictions up because you got a correct prediction?
Did I do this correctly?
Did you, Matt? Go on, Matt.
Speaking of stopping the rot,
I predicted 1-0 win for Huddersfield. Kosi predicted 0-0. And Neil predicted 2-1 when Pozzo, who's not here, predicted a draw as well. So
what about the Bristol City ones that you missed? You might as well run through them, aren't you, to be fair?
Shall we just make this podcast about Bristol City predictions?
Yeah, just run through them.
Neil, what did you predict for
It's like you've never predicted a result before, Neil.
For Bristol City, I think I predicted a 2-1 win.
2-1 win for Bristol. I predicted 2-1 win for Bristol.
Well, yeah, there you go then.
I'm banging on about it though, am I? 3-1 win for...
I ain't doing predictions. I never get any right, so I'm taking it.
No, you got to do it. Yeah, Kosi predicted 3-1 win for Huddersfield. I don't know what you were on there, mate, saying Pippa Barcelona.
Went out together.
2-1 win for Huddersfield for Matt as well. And Pozza 2-2. I think Pozza just predicts 2-2 every game. But there we go.
Desmond, he loves a Desmond, doesn't he? Right, so we'll move on. So we'll throw this out to you guys online at the minute. We're going to talk about a player in focus. The spotlight is on Harry Toffolo this week. So let us know in the comments what you think of Harry Toffolo, and in the next few minutes you will probably realise that we think a great deal about our left back. I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for these other guys without even hearing their points. But Kosi, you predicted Harry Toffolo to win the Player of the Season in our season preview this season, and so far that is looking good. And I think everybody seems to have had the same idea this week about talking about who's going to win the Player of the Season. I had the idea after Luton, and the Examiner have done it, and so have the official Huddersfield Town Twitter feed as well. So we're probably last to it like usual. But I've taken some WhoScored.com ratings for Harry Toffolo, and WhoScored.com have him second in the top ranked left backs. I've only done this for left backs who've played over 4 or 5 games because you get a silly sample size if you do anything less. So Harry Toffolo is currently ranked second in the left backs in the Championship. So according to them, statistically, he's the second best left back. He's behind Omar Richards of Reading. So he's the 5th best in the league for not being dribble passed, not being beaten on the run. 4th in most interceptions, 2nd in shots blocked. Offensively is the 9th most shots outside the box, 8th from inside. He's 4th for successful take-ons, and he's 2nd on passes and 6th on key passes. So all of that combined together puts him in 2nd spot in the Championship. And I'm going to call it. I'm going to say that Harry Toffolo is becoming one of the best left backs outside of the Premier League. And not only do you throw in all of these stats, which make him look impressive, you also throw in the interviews that he does and the way he conducts himself around the club. And you've got almost the whole package here. You've got, not only do you have an excellent left back, but you've got a bloody decent bloke as well. You know, he's becoming a fan favorite. Everybody likes him. Everybody at the club likes him, inside, outside. Harry Toffolo is getting himself up there with the likes of Simon Charlton and Tom Cowan, in my view, but he just needs to stay around and stay consistent for a bit longer to cement that spot. So what do you guys think of Harry Toffolo, and where do you think his career sort of projection goes from here? Kosi?
Yeah, I mean, his instant impact was amazing last season. We really needed it. His fullbacks were a disaster. If you remember last season when we were sinking back to League One, and he really gave us a big boost. And one of the reasons I thought we stayed in the division. And he likes, obviously, that goal at Derby. That was a nice finish on that as well. But yeah, the thing that I like about him, we're supposed to play full back in the modern game now. You've got to have energy. You've got to have the energy, the engine. Yeah, I know times have been said. Maybe his defensive work is definitely probably the thing that he probably needs to work on the most. But
it's good. The only thing I couldn't find is how many meters he covers or kilometers in a game. That's the only thing it doesn't have. But I would imagine he's up there as well in terms of energy from getting up and down the flank as well.
My only worry about him is just how we manage him, because you can't really rest him. And like we've mentioned, these games coming thick and fast, you would be. Yeah, it'd be a nightmare. I mean, Jayden Brown, we were kind of waxing lyrical when he came in start last season, but for me to swap Brown for Toffolo would be, wow, it wouldn't be a good swap really at the moment. So I honestly think that if you, like you say, this trajectory, if he keeps that up, I think starting next season in the summer, I don't fancy putting on my BBC Sport Twitter feed, because I can see the papers say the rumours and this, because
he's only 25 as well. So
a good player when you see one, mate. I think it makes me laugh on his Instagram, because he's clearly got a lot of friends. He's like living the dream, really, because I remember when he signed, he always wanted to test himself in the Championship, and people are like, his friends are like, wow, here he goes again, out of the man, this, that, and the other, and tagging him in. So it's like they're like, wow, you know, he's come from this level to that level, and now he's bossing the Championship. Can he be a Premier League? You know what? Why not?
I think so.
Why not, mate?
is the epitome of the player who's probably had chances a bit earlier in his career, higher up, and not quite done it, and really knuckled down, dropped down the leagues, really knuckled down, and he's sort of out to make himself a career. And fair play to him. He looks bloody good, doesn't he? I said a few weeks ago that him and Pippa are vital to how we play. Losing either of those would be verging on disastrous, if we're being brutally honest.
Well, Pippa's got a hamstring problem, hasn't he? So he might be out for 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
Hopefully that's fallen at a good time, just in time for the international break. But those two are pivotal. Toffolo's been exceptional since he come in, and I'd actually really love to hear him speak about the different. Because obviously he's a Danny Cowley man. Danny Cowley signed him.
Trust the process, Neil. Trust the process.
I'd
good human being and all that.
I'd love to hear his views on playing in a Cowley team and that style and his role, and how that's changed in this current style and the freedom he gets, and obviously bombing forward all the time. Because
there's a little bit on that in the town preview.
Absolutely thriving, doesn't he?
Yeah, if you watch the town preview on the official channel, he talks a little bit about that. There's a little section on that, which is.
But I'd like to get the nuts and bolts behind the scenes, sort of no holds barred version. But
yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, it just looks. He looks a player, and he's giving himself a chance, and he's giving himself a chance. And as you say, if he's
playing for England at this rate, Brady.
Yeah, I think best thing Danny Cowley did.
Or Italy.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, lads, I think we need to stop talking about him and stop talking those stats, because, you know, it was the same with Carlin Grant last year when we were doing bad. I think it's when you notice when other people who follow the championship start talking about Toffolo and Grant or your player, you realise, it's not just us. You know, he is playing great, and other people sit up and take notice. And yeah, to be honest, I think he's a great player. I think, like Neil said, spot on. He's key to our play. I think you touched on it earlier, Matt. There's a lot of stuff down the left, and I think that's because Toffolo wants the ball, and also because his delivery. I mean, his crosses are great as well in an attacking sense. My concern is, you know, like Kosi said, a bigger club might come and get him. I think that's the thing we've got to be. You know, if he keeps this up, I think he's well on his way to be player of the season. Great shout, Kosi, and I think that's my worry hanging on to him, because I think he's going places. You know, like you say, League Two, League One,
with stuff like that,
can do it.
If he's being talked about, it means he's doing well for us, and that's all. A club in our position in our league, that's all we can worry about at the moment. If somebody comes in, we'll get a decent fee for him and he'll move on. And you know what? Players like Toffolo, you like Grant's gone sort of under a cloud, and he, you know, from being our best player, comfortable, I say he's sort of left under the cloud with the, you know, downing of tools, etc. Whereas Toffolo goes, and I think he's one of those players where you'd all be absolutely gutted if he went, but genuinely want him to do the best he possibly can, because he's that kind of fella.
I think the thing is, for me, it's like any job anyone ever does. If you're happy and you come into work, you do a better job. And to me, every time I see him coming in, and I know with the club Instagram, I have, but he always makes me laugh when you see him arrive and what have you. He's always smiling on his face. He's
really funny.
He looks like he's happy to come to work. He can't wait for the game. He can't wait for 3 o'clock.
Can't wait to see Lewis O'Brien, can he?
No, and I think the thing is, it's like brilliant. And I think it was an interesting celebration. I think just ran, and he won't run into the bench anyway. He was trying to find his mate Harry, because he'd laid it on he wanted to play it, but it was a brilliant cross. And yeah, we need to stop talking about him, like you say, Brady, because I just enjoy watching. Yeah, I enjoy watching him play. And Danny Cowley obviously divides opinion, but he's got that one spot on, mate.
Neil, who does this remind you of? This might be one for the, no offence, Neil, but this is one for town fans who've been watching a bit longer than most, Brady. So he's made over 100 appearances, physically fit, up and down all day, puts crosses in all day. Remind you of anybody from the 80s? 6 foot fullback. Other side.
Brown. Yeah, Mally Brown.
Yeah, the shades of Mally Brown. I never really got to see him, but
don't like Mally Brown.
I never saw him.
In the attacking sense, it is, because he was a bit of a rampager. But obviously, it's a completely different style. But if he carries on how he is, we talk a lot about the great fullbacks that over years. Obviously, even going back to sort of Ray Wilson days, but then obviously more recently, your Simon Charltons, your Tommy Cowans.
Kevin Sharp.
Yes, and Davidson.
Kwame Adutu.
Robbie Ryan.
I think you've got the makings of a player here who is probably Premier League bound, because obviously if he's rated second best in champ already, and he's clearly showing that, and people will be watching him, and it's whether they think he's worth the punt to take him. And I just like the fact of it's how he is. And it's that, like I mentioned earlier on, that he started off at a couple of decent clubs like Norwich, wasn't he? Yep. So, and then he's not quite done it there.
Norwich had Jamal Lewis coming through.
So he's dropped down, gone all the way down to work himself back up. He's backed himself.
He was centre half when he started at Norwich.
Fair play to him. He looks a bloody good player to me.
Yeah, the Mally Brown. I'll just clarify the Mally Brown thing, Kosi. And that was because Mally Brown played 250 games in a row at the other side, and Harry Toffolo strikes me as a player who just constantly keeps going.
Will not miss.
Touchwood, physically fit.
You know what? Like you said there, second in the league, but there's an argument for me. Senor Avila and Senor Toffolo, the best fullbacks in the league, at least top three, mate. For me, and
combination, yeah.
But like you said, Neil, it's worrying that's our just best outlet for a goal, really, attacking wise. We need to sort that out ASAP, man.
Well, it's not that long since we had two very, very good fullbacks. If you go back to Tommy Smith and Chris Lerver, who were exceptional at the time, and these two played a completely different way to them two.
But Toffolo reminds me very much of a Smith style.
Yeah, but he's these two, because of the style and how we play, these two really are pivotal to us, and God forbid that they get injured and miss games, or worse, leave.
They are now, innit? But yeah, let's hope.
Shall we read some comments out then to finish on that point? I think.
Yeah.
So so let us find the comments about Harry Toffolo here. So yeah, Terry Mulak says player of the season so far, showing great consistency in defence and also being our most dangerous player in attack. Andy Dworsky says, Toffs looks to have stepped up a notch since last year, a bit like Smith did under Wagner. Total buy-in. Hope we don't come under pressure to cash in. And Jacob Hurst says, I'd say his most underrated attribute is his attitude, conducts himself well, and seems the ideal professional. Let's just hope we can keep him past January. We're going to make big money on him. And Richard Hookie says, bloody great player. I think his defence needs to be better at times. And then HT Space FC says Pieper and Toffolo for a combined total of just over 1 million. Hopefully 2 players that can help us challenge higher up in the Championship in future seasons if we can keep hold of them. And that's a good point, Matt, about them being 1 million. Imagine the sell price.
Matt, don't you think? I mean, again, it could be talking bollocks. Won't be the first time, but when a player kind of comes up the divisions, and don't you? I'm trying to think of kind of other players to back up my case, but
Stuart Pearce.
Yeah, and it's almost like, wow, I can prove it myself, I can do it, and then it kind of, rather than maybe someone who's been in the Premier League,
someone who's lived in that bubble, that sort of Premier League
and
comfort
thought they
zone.
should have been at Man United. Yeah,
he's had to go home. He's had to wash his own kit, make his own meals and stuff like that. And he's,
I suppose there's an argument for the other way, saying, well, hang on a minute, he left Man United, I want to prove him wrong or whatever to get another club in the Premier League. But I just feel it's almost like if I were him, like I'm on the ladder, right? God, I'm proving myself in the Championship. Because every time he is in that team of the week, you'll always see him put a picture of it on his Instagram or whatever. So it's like he's like thinking, bloody hell, I'm doing. I'm ready for this level here. What am I ready for next? So yeah, I don't want to get carried away, but you can't.
Yeah, not yet, Harry. Just you calm down. A couple of years later, mate. And hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah,
and, you can enjoy that ride. That'll be
10 years, mate. We'll get your testimony against Bradford City, mate. Don't worry, Harry.
Against Lincoln, managed by Danny Cowley. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah,
could I just say something on Toffs? So I spoke to a Lincoln fan the other day, and he was. So this kind
I'm not
of
still going on about that offside, Tom.
They are. It's exact straight away. That's
Jesus,
exactly
mate. Tell him the rules of that season state that it was onside.
Kind of a bit of a point that you brought up, Neil. So about Cowley as well. So they've got Appleton at the moment, and he says the football is 10 times better with Appleton. Look, I'm a massive Cowley fan, but obviously, if he's saying that Michael Appleton is playing more exciting football, then that's a very good point. Like that. Yeah, we're very lucky at the moment, I think. And then he was just saying how good Toffolo is, and I'd just echo about, he's just amazing, isn't he, really? What a signing. Best
how much did
it
cost? How much?
500 grand.
Jesus, when you think of so much money we've wasted. And, 500 grand. Pippa, what, for 400 grand, was it? 900 grand for them too. What a steal.
So if any rival fans are listening, we were talking about a Dharma Diakabi there.
Yeah, so that's it for the comments. So Brady, you have... So we're kind of almost not quite a quarter of the way through the season. And what does the data tell us in terms of how Town are performing and how they could perform over the season?
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting because we talked about this. I'm not sure we love data, Matt, but we're nearly a quarter of the season in, as you say. So I wanted to kind of check where we're at. So last season, 11 games in, we were 20th with 8 points. This season, 11 games in, we're 13th with 14 points. Now, again, I might lose a couple of you here, but if you average it out, we've got 14 points at the moment. If you average that out, points per game, that's 1.27 points per game. So you spread that over the season, that's 59 points pretty much. So where do you think we finish in the table with 59 points? If you average it based on last season. 13th, correct. Season before that, we'd finish 16th. Season before that, in 17-18, we'd finish 15th. In our promotion season, we would have finished 14th. Now, I thought this was quite interesting. Can you remember how many points we got the season we got promoted?
81, because we always get in playoffs at 81.
81 in 5th place, 125.
Really sad man.
Stat man.
No, I like it. I didn't think anyone would get it.
Sad man, not stat man.
Stato, you got the Stato glasses over there, haven't you? You could just need your dressing gown on.
I knew you like that one, Matthew.
I do.
But just on the point of like the reason I did that, I think that's quite interesting. So you can, again, to talk about the other podcast, Steve Jicken, he said in terms of all the stats, we're kind of bang average in the middle. You know, we're not the worst at this, we're not the best, we're kind of good at this. And I think that kind of illustrates to you that we are going to be mid-table. And I think, again, I mean, I predicted them to finish 21st, and I think Neil predicted for us to get relegated. So I think
really,
negative, a lot of you.
Brady, the only thing I want to throw back at you, mate, is I'd agree with you if this were a normal season, but it's not a normal season, mate. The games are coming thick and fast. You've seen Reading, all of a sudden, they've won the league and now they're going to go down. It's like, I just think this is, I know what people are saying, they're going to kind of, I'm trying to think of the word, but, this is how many points we're going to keep going like this. But
yeah.
December, it does worry me with that squad, Neil. We were banging on about it, weren't we, before the window, and it scares me, mate. Wickham away. I mean, that normally you'd be thinking get 3 points there after Stoke, but they're 2 bloody hard games then now all of a sudden. And
you can't call it. This league's so tight. They're in an outstanding team. It's a bang average league. You look at Watford's squad. They should absolutely walk this division with that squad. They've got Glenn Murray, Troy Deeney, Andre Gray. You get right out of any of them.
Ismail Assar, that's the star.
So you've got all them.
Right.
And it's just they're looking bang average and they're looking beatable, and you can get at them, and that just about sums up this league.
Have they still got Delafeu as well?
You can get at anybody.
No, he's gone.
No, he went. The games though, it's just weird. I watched that Cardiff Bristol game on Friday night, and Cardiff should have won about 8-1. Bristol scored 1-0, and then all of a sudden we should have probably beat Bristol. Well, it's a bit of a big call, but we were beating them. And then they're the second now, aren't they? It's like I just can't.
I think the thing you can say, like obviously taking stats out of it, and I'm just talking about watching Town and how I feel about it. I do feel like whoever we're playing, I think we've got a chance. Like no matter who it is, I think maybe we could get something.
We've not felt that for a while.
Before.
We've
Absolutely.
not felt that for a while. I mean, if you went for the last couple of seasons, going 1-0 down on Saturday, we just a joke, didn't we? One and done.
Yeah,
and we were.
The trouble is, Neil, it's scary. Pippa, all of a sudden, Pippa's out and Toffolo 50-50. Then I'm thinking, have we got a chance? That's what it's great, but it's underpinned, I think, by some
absolutely. Of course it is, but so is every other team in the league.
Yeah,
you just don't hear about it. Every other team in the league will have those one or two that you think, oh God, it was them.
From Watford, obviously. But one thing I make a point on them as well, Brady, is that because of the short turnaround, I think I might have said this in the season preview, so I might be repeating myself a little bit. But because of that short turnaround, I think what we're seeing is the 3 teams that got relegated have been in a much better position to jump straight back. Because there's the transfer market the way it was and how saturated it was, has given teams like Bournemouth teams like, I'm using that phrase, but given Bournemouth, Watford, etc., I can't remember who the other one that came down was. Norwich, that's the one. Has given them a better platform than what they may have got. You know, you can't really say that for definite, but it feels like the lack of money at this level and the short turnaround has given them a bit of a boost, to be honest, especially because they all, apart from Norwich, finished the season reasonably well. So Bournemouth and Watford finished quite reasonably well.
Yeah, and I think with Norwich, sorry, Matt, like Norwich, they didn't really spend when they were in the Prem, did they?
No, but I'll tell you what, there's a 71-year-old man not doing a bad job in Yorkshire. Sorry, Neil. But, mate, Mr. Warnock again, early doors, but he's unbelievable, isn't he? He's unbelievable, isn't he?
I've only just noticed Tom's background.
Yeah.
Classic.
Cozzy and Pipper at Castle Hill.
Yeah. No, it's enjoyable.
You go walking, Cozzy. You got quite a lot. Maybe Pippa could go for one of your strolls with you around.
That must be how all our right backs have got to look, because that could be Tommy Smith and all, couldn't it?
That looks like Pippa and Danny Adams. Does that
Tom,
to me?
What are you doing with your hand in that drawing? Going for the awkward cinema yawn.
I know, I don't, mate. It's COVID. Keep hands, face, space. Tom, get that deleted, man. But yeah, it's an interesting division, and it's God. We were saying this 3, 4, 5 seasons ago, and you don't know who's going to win on any kind of given night at the moment. And Sheffield Wednesday obviously getting their points back now, and probably a new coach that's going to give them a bit of impetus. And there's even Wickham away when we play them next week. Sorry,
Chef Wednesday coach looks like it's going to be woot woot the sound of the police, I'm afraid. So that's a really interesting. Police actually means police in the Philippines, just for anyone who's wanted to know that. But he looks like he's on his way into Sheffield Wednesday, and that is a bizarre appointment for me, because there are some good ones that they could have potentially, progressive appointments they could have made. But Tony Pulis,
he followed Monk at Middlesbrough, didn't he? Weird.
Yeah, that's a strange one. Yeah.
Thing is, he knows how to do the business, though, Matt.
I'm on tonight.
Pulis, he did. I don't know if he's gone a bit past that now. I don't know.
This is a big one for him, isn't it? Because if he cocks this up there a bit, then it's like
he's done, isn't it?
Yeah, you think so? Yeah, Brady, have you got any Papa John Pizza news from last night, mate? How did our friends get on down the road?
What do you want news?
Oh, I don't know, mate. But can I just say,
Papa John's Pizza, mate.
Can I just say, while we're on Wednesday, I'm sure we're all very upset to see Gary Monk lose his job. I know.
It's out.
The timing were weird, wasn't it? Because he
Monk trumpet.
didn't he?
I actually wanted to keep that job though, because they'd have gone down if he'd have stayed.
Yeah,
Chansiri, though, is a weird man, isn't he? Because the last week he was saying that he backed him after the game, and then they get a decent result on Saturday, really, and he's gone. But the thing is, Chansiri is a strange guy, isn't he? Because he came in, big fanfare, and didn't work out with Carlos because that were their chance, wasn't it? When they played us, and they're recovering from that. But yeah, Pulis will. I think he's a good appointment, that Matt. But we'll see.
And he takes that Chansiri. Eh? That's what it could have been if we were Sheffield Wednesday podcast. But there we go. Let's. So we'll finish off the podcast with what's coming up over the international break. So in terms of the international break, I know we're all excited to see the international football out with Kosi. But what do Town focus on for you guys? For me, it's breaking teams down in the deep block. That's no secret. I've made that this every last 3 or 4 weeks. But what are you guys hoping to see when Town come back from the international break, and no injuries as well? Touch wood being one in particular. I'll start with Brady. You look like you're champing at the bit there.
Yeah, so I was kind of reading some of the stuff they were saying about how they'll spend the international break, and he was saying they're going to kind of bring people up to speed, so like Ward, Vallejo, Romani, Edmonds, Green. I think that's the kind of important thing for me. Like we've touched on the squad, I think we need to get the players, more players back in, especially, 9 games in December. So I think that's going to be really important. I agree, like it's the chance creation thing. I know it's... I think it's one of them really where when players aren't there, they seem to be better than they are when they're there. But like, there's been so many games where I just think like, oh, if Bacuna or Pritchard was there, maybe something would have happened. And like, I know nothing probably would have happened, but I don't know. Like, so I agree with you. It's that chance. It's the linking to the strikers and giving them chances. Because, I know we criticised him last season, but I have to say Fraser Campbell, he's been finishing the chances he gets this season. And, Ward, I know Stephen Chicken bangs on about how good he was at Cardiff and how Cardiff fans were disappointed to see him go because he had quite a good rate off the bench. So, yeah. I think
scored every 1.5 games, didn't he? Across he scored every 120 minutes or something, didn't he?
It was decent. And he is meant to be our first choice striker. So, just getting chances for them because I think, weirdly enough, the strikers we do have seem to be finishing. It's just giving them chances to finish.
Silver Fox.
Key for me is having as many bodies fit as possible when we return because that's one hell of a schedule. And it's going to really test us, really, really test us. And I think we'll look at team a lot and I think we'll go, but I think we're going to have to suck it up because it is what it is.
I think the thing is, Neil, you've only got to look at Duane. Once Pippa came on, the quality, the better quality.
If we can return, if we can get to January and be roughly where we are now, I think we'd all take it, wouldn't we? Let's be honest.
100%.
Yeah, I think this might be a struggle. December looks like a struggle. Romani Edmonds-Green is one that interests me a lot though because he can play right back as well as centre back. Obviously, he's not going to attack like Pieper does, but defensively,
we don't know, do you?
Well, you never know. It's the Carlos effect.
Back,
you never know, do you? Yes, Stearman can play right wing back. Yeah, we've already seen him flying down that touchline, haven't we, with his receding ponytail? But we'll move on.
I just hope. I mean, God, Christmas is. Even though people are putting the trees up, I've seen on some of my social media. But even though that's a long way off, I just hope that we get enough points for us not to panic in January and bring in signings a short term because we need to kind of stay.
Well, loans aren't bad. We've still got 4 loans that we can make involve in the first team. I think we've only got Eiting at the minute, have we? My memory's going, flagging. Yeah, Eiting. Any reason? Say that again, Brady.
Pereira.
Yeah, but he didn't play, does he? But I think now Schofield's back. I don't really see much.
Smith Rowe's not getting games. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, there you go. Smith Rowe, Emil Smith Rowe. Phil, if you're listening, we love you and we love Emil Smith Rowe even more. Make it happen, please. Pretty please. Christmas, etc.
Yeah, I don't know what Arteta to tell him or his agent, but it don't look a good move at the moment. He
was going to play. He said he was going to be involved in the first team, didn't he? Emil Smith Rowe.
He
could play Premier League. He could play Premier League. Papa John's trophy. Yeah, Papa John's in rugby league. Have you seen that with rugby league? I know we're digressing, but with rugby league, they took Papa John's as a main sponsor, and all that they do is provide free pizza after the game for the players. They don't pay anything.
Oh, really?
Don't mention pizza, mate. I love it.
I know. People complain about our sponsorship.
Anyway, are we nearly done?
We're done, mate. All that there's left to do is to say we'll bring you on to your special announcement in a second, but because you have a special one. But yeah, so Brady, you've got something cooked up. I'm going to try and write something about corners. It promises to be an enthralling read for anybody that looks at our website. And Brady, you've got something coming up.
Can you give me a hint, Matt? Sorry,
got a couple of things coming up, haven't you?
I've got a few things coming up.
Oh, you're not helping. You're getting any help.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm speaking to Huddersfield Town women's manager and assistant manager Jordan Wimpenny and Marcus Wilkinson. So that'll be coming out as a pod. We've also got plans. Is this what you were getting at?
Yeah.
Yep. We've also got plans for.
This is called in the business of podcasting, Brady. This is called teeing you up.
Yeah.
Teeing me up.
You're right on what he needs to say, please.
Yeah. Do you want me to just scribble up my hand and just push
I don't know.
it?
Got a lot of irons in the fire. So we will be doing next week a special non-league podcast. So chatting to some non-league clubs in the local area. And tune in. It's going to.
The one confirmed definite guess for that so far is the Big House Town really chairman, James Howard.
Yeah, good lad, James. Spoken to him before, so that'll be interesting.
And Neil, sorry, have you finished, Brady?
Yeah, I was gonna hand over.
You do it then. Go on then. It's called the business. It's called teeing up, isn't it?
God, this is professional. And that's my announcements, but. I think someone else has an exciting announcement.
It's much better than mine. Yeah.
Done into local radio style. Obviously people have seen all over social media last couple of days. I've been hammering it out everywhere. We are opening a new Andy's Man Club in Brighouse starting this Monday. We've got a superb venue lined up at Town Hall Dental. They've offered us a nice space free of charge to do our thing. If anybody does want to come along there, if you're already a member somewhere else, you just need to do the track and trace online that you already know about. If it's anybody new who wants to come, please email info@andysmanclub.co.uk. There's not a great deal to do. Just send them an email, then they'll send you some details. But yeah, Brighouse, I think it's needed. It's another one that's needed. We've actually grown since we returned from the lockdown. We've actually grown by 4 or 5 clubs now, because there's little offshoots coming, because certain venues we can't use. So we've opened one in Rochdale. There's one in Batley now as well. So we're covering everywhere around here. But yeah, I'll be not with the Huddersfield one anymore. I will be running the Brighouse one. So looking forward to it.
Neil, I saw today, and it said on telly that since COVID, male suicides 200% increase. It's absolutely shocking and staggering, mate, when you hear that.
Yeah, we've still got people telling us we shouldn't be opening, but it's, that's not for us to judge. We just get the doors open. Everything's COVID safe.
Social distance, can't you?
Yeah, we've never ever taken any kind of details off anybody, be it phone numbers, full names, addresses, anything. So it can be as confidential as possible and as sort of easy to access as possible. But during these strange times, we are having to get people to do a simple track and trace, but that does get wiped after every Monday night. They've got to redo it for every week they want to come. So we do everything. They've got to wear the masks. They've got to use the sanitizer. When they come in, it's all spaced apart 2 meters. There's hand gels everywhere. And then at the end of the night, we spray all the seats down and with the Dettol stuff and what have you. So yeah, we're as COVID safe as we possibly can be, and it's vital. The guys need it, and it's been very evident since we did return how much people have needed it and missed it. So yeah, we're back, and another new club, Brighouse. Can't wait.
Fantastic, and you've had a congratulatory message as well already from Brighouse Town FC BTTV.
They've been brilliant. They've been brilliant at Brighouse. That we have they've put us a free the big Andy's Man Club banners. They've actually had us one made, and we've got that outside at pitch up there. We had a day there last season, and the club. It would actually James, the chairman at Brighouse, ran me up a few weeks ago, and he's actually sort of set the wheels in motion to get us this venue. So great bit of link up there and helped us out. So spot on.
Fantastic. Right. I aimed for under an hour this week, so I think we're going to call it unless there's any other business.
No.
Fantastic. So thank you to Magic Rock Brewing for sponsoring the podcast. Thank you, Tom, for doodling as always, and good to see you in the corner, and good to see Kosi and Peeper enjoying flying the flag of Huddersfield over Castle Hill. Shame the pub's not there, otherwise Kosi would be in for a pint of Magic Rock's finest, I'm sure.
Did you see there were a brawl at Castle Hill on fireworks night? God, how many? Anyway, but forget it, man.
An hour, and we're keeping an hour. Right, thank you to everyone who's joined us online for listening. Sorry I didn't get a chance to read out some of the last bits, but we'll reply in the chat box.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.